Hey, I think we're back on. Let me just check this. Okay. Oh my gosh, you gotta love the internet. It just threw us right off Facebook. Or maybe it was the entire internet, I'm not really sure. But it does look like we're back. And so happy Wednesday. I'm just going to carry on here and hope that we're online. Yay! It's always so much fun to do live and Zoom and all those kinds of things because there's always some sort of, not always, but often there's a little technological difficulty. And so, so I'm super happy that we're back because we have things to do today. Just checking on my other thing here, which is loading and loading and loading. But anyway, okay, so today we're going to make a ginger bug. And so we had a couple comments there on the last week about when we did the kombucha. So we did the kombucha making and made our kombucha scobies. And so the question was how to work with the ginger and make it a ginger kombucha. So yesterday I was explaining about the that you can take your kombucha and when it tastes just right, you know, not too like once the tea isn't really tasting like a sweet tea and you're no longer tasting the sweet sugar, but before it gets to the really sour vinegary part, which is fine too, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, it just depends on the flavor that you want. Then you can go ahead and you can do a second ferment with adding ginger. So that's kind of a separate thing. What we're going to do here, we're going to make a ginger bug, which is it's like a starter. Hey Minik, we're back. I don't know what happened there. Facebook just went away and now we're back. So I'm happy about that. Although my laptop doesn't seem to think that we're back, but that's okay. I can see that you're here. So when we're making the ginger bug, what this is it's like a little sourdough yeast starter. And I just want to make sure that you guys can see everything here because we're going to do a couple things today. And so what I started doing before we were interrupted by the lack of internet was peeling this ginger. And so I have a serrated spoon and I'm going to just peel it, right? I'm just peeling off a little bit of the skin because we don't really want too much skin on this. And so I might also just trim it for the little, excuse me, these little bumps here. And take the little bumps off like so that we have something that we can actually grate. And so ginger's always so fantastic to work with. It is really good for circulation. It's really good for the, good for your immune system. It's antiviral, antibacterial, anti-nausea. Most people know that it's really good if you have any kind of nausea issues or anything like that. It helps to settle your stomach. It's good for digestion. And so anyways, we're just going to peel this off. I don't know if we lost everybody. We had everybody on. And now I don't know how well the internet's working. So Monique, it looks like you're on there. Is your connection okay? Are you still there? Oh gosh, gotta love the internet. But and it's not really surprising in some ways because there's still like so many people on it right now with Zoom and classes and courses and things like that. So I'm just really hoping that this records. Oh, if you watched this before, you know that happens a lot. Okay, I'm gonna go wash this piece of ginger off, and by that time, hopefully the internet will be fixed. Okay, so Yes, good thing. Good thing we, my floor just got washed because we just made a huge batch of pickled beets the other day, and oh my God, it's like the best recipe in the world. It's the family secret recipe, but it's also really messy. So anyway, I have carefully washed my ginger, very clean. And of course, when you start with anything that you're cooking, you want to make sure that everything is clean, your jar is clean, you know, your utensils. And one of the things that I do a lot is, or that I share with people a lot when I talk about these 15-minute recipes that I do that are really healthy and okay, good. It seems okay now. That's awesome. So is to always wash your, well, especially now, but always wash your produce before you put it in the fridge. So that makes a really big difference in saving time, so that everything's washed, and when you open up the fridge door, it's all ready to go. So you can just grab a handful, throw it in a salad or into your recipe or whatever it is that, you know, that you want to use it for. So I'm just looking at the flying ginger. Yeah, it's flying ginger. Well, you know, things do tend to jump off here often. And because I do have a really, you know, the way my kitchen's set up, it's a really tiny workspace. And so, yeah, I can't really do a video of me in the other kitchen part because just the way the kitchen's set up, you wouldn't see my head and where I'm cooking. So we've moved over here, which is good, because that way we can share all of the wonderful things that we do and all of the different ferments and herbal things and herbal remedies. And so, yeah, so I'm just taking the ends off this ginger piece, and then we're going to move that out of the way a bit so that we don't have any peel in here. So we're making the ginger bug, and we're going to grate this ginger. So we'll see if the rest of the group gets back on. Okay, so basically, you know, use whatever you want to grate your ginger. I don't know if I really want it that fine. And let's see what this does. I'm going to do half and half. Apparently there's a ginger grater on the market, and I don't have one, so that will, you know, that'll probably never do. So I'm going to do, oh, it's coming along. I'll do the smaller half here. I'm not sure what the size difference is, but, you know, a lot of people, see, it's grating. A lot of people will not have a ginger grater either. And I like to do recipes with simple tools, if I can, that the average person can use or to, you know, be able to make do with, right? Because there's just so much stuff out there, and we all can't, well, a lot of us, speaking for myself, can't afford every little kitchen tool out there. So I've tried to, you know, I've tried to share things that are super easy and simple. Okay, so that's working. Maybe I won't use these bigger pieces here, and we'll use this. So what we're after is 2 tablespoons of ginger, okay? So I've peeled way too much ginger here. So what I'll do is maybe use some, of course I can wrap it in saran wrap, but I could use some for that recipe that we've done before, where we take the ginger and we use ginger and garlic, and then we blend it together in the magic bullet, and use that for, just put it in a jar, and then you have that available for condiments or whatever it is that you want to add to your recipe. So you know, like when you need ginger and garlic, it's kind of nice to have it in a jar all together fresh that you did, you know, not store-bought, so that you know how old it is. So pretty much what we want is 2 tablespoons, so I think maybe a little more. So this is working, so that's good. This is working, the internet's working, we're all good. Here we go. Okay, so we're just gonna get a little more ginger here. That's about right. Oh, the other thing is I'm going to need that tomorrow. I just forgot the other part of the recipe. Okay, so here we go. So what we're going to do is set that there. We have, approximately, with clean hands, we have approximately 2 tablespoons of ginger. Okay, so we're going to put it in our jar, and I do have my paper towel here. Okay, so we're going to add to this. Now, this is kind of similar to kombucha in that we are going to add a sugar, and I don't use white sugar, really ever. But with kombucha, the recipe just doesn't quite turn out without that. And so I have used that traditionally because it's traditional. I've tried it with coconut sugar. I've tried it with honey and maple syrup. And anyway, the theory behind it is that the yeast eats up all the sugar and the SCOBY. And so there is no sugar in the final product because it's been transformed into something else. It's been all eaten up. So what we're going to do in this case, I'm just going to grab the organic sugar here. So I do have an organic one. We're going to add, brand new. Let me not throw this all over the floor. Okay, we're good. All right, so we're going to add the 2 tablespoons of ginger, grated ginger. We're going to add 1 tablespoon of this organic sugar, organic cane sugar. Okay. So what we're going to do is make sure we get that sealed, and we're going to add 2 tablespoons of water, but the water has to be it has to not have chlorine, ideally, because the chlorine would inhibit the growth of the fermentation. We want this to ferment. So I don't really know much about it. Maybe you guys do, but the filtered water, I think, they say that if you leave your tap water out, then the chlorine evaporates. So I don't know if they add other stuff to the water or whatever, but I do have, I don't really want to add distilled, because distilled water has been stripped of all the minerals, all of the, there are a lot of minerals in water. Ideally, like a spring water, is supposed to be alive. And the distilled water is kind of like a dead water. And it will actually, if you don't know this, the distilled water will actually chelate. Oh, hey. Hi, Laura. Nice to see you on here. Okay, awesome. We are making a ginger bug. Today we're making a ginger bug. And so it is a ginger. So far, it's 2 tablespoons of ginger, 1 tablespoon of organic sugar cane, and so we're going to get this fermenting, and this is to make it could make like a ginger ale type beverage. It can be added to kombucha, but for our purposes of what we're doing, we're going to make this ginger bug, and then you can add this, a 1/4 cup of this, to any drink that you wanted to. So if you had even like a raspberry tea or blueberry tea, any kind of sweet drink that you wanted to add this to, this will fizz it up and make it like a flavored ginger ale. So that's the idea of why we're making it. But you can do lots of things with it. So we're going to add the 1 tablespoon of water, and like I was saying, if you're using distilled water, the distilled water it's had everything stripped out of it, right? It's been distilled. So distilled water will actually chelate minerals from your body. So it's not a good idea to drink distilled water all the time. It's really good if you're trying to do a cleanse, you're trying to eliminate, under supervision, of course, you're trying to eliminate certain metals and you're trying to detox the body, then it can be used for periods of time. But it's not a good idea for drinking water. I mean, if you're traveling and you need water and you're a little iffy on what's going on with the water in the area, for sure, drink distilled for, you could do it for a couple weeks or whatever, steady, but or even longer, but make sure you're replacing your minerals, because it will strip them out. So then you've got to, when you get home, you need to increase either the foods or the supplements of your calcium, magnesium, selenium, all of those things. You know, you need to rebuild that, because being on distilled water for a long period of time actually does chelate and pull the minerals as well as the metals and everything else out of the body. So yeah, that's so sweet. Yeah, I have a lot of videos, about, I don't know, probably 150 videos on YouTube, so you can check that out, and a lot of pictures on really healthy cooking and eating on Instagram as well. So be sure to share and check it out. And they're pretty funny. We have a good time here every morning at 11. Okay, so back to the 2 tablespoons of water. So we're going to carefully try and do this, and I'm really good in my little tiny workspace. I'm really good at throwing things all over the floor. We had a lovely spill the other day where that was the kombucha day, the day we made kombucha, and I was trying to get it into the container, and it pretty much went everywhere. So, but you know, it's all good, and we just keep carrying on no matter what. I'm here to make the mistakes for you, and we love to experiment with different foods and different ideas. And so anyways, okay, so the other thing is when you're working with ferments, they don't really like metal. You can get away with it, but it's best not to. So I'm going to use a chopstick, and we're going to mix together. We're mixing together the ginger, the grated ginger, and the sugar and the water, and we're going to mix this. Okay, so make sure it's really good. It's kind of like when you're doing the fermented sauerkraut and you're mixing the salt in the cabbage. You want to make sure it gets everywhere. You need this to ferment. So what we're going to do on this is we're going to add this again every day for 5 days. Okay, so we have to get this fermenting, and we're going to be feeding it. So we're feeding it extra ginger and extra sugar. And so, yeah, so, you know, I won't, over the next 5 days, I won't take up a lot of your time redoing this, because it's the exact same thing, right? It's just adding 2 tablespoons of ginger and 1 tablespoon of sugar, and then the water. But you want to just let it sit. So after the 5 days, this turns into the mother of the your little liquid. I guess I'll call it a liquid that you're going to add to your drink, so that you could make them fizzy. So say for instance, this is my chakra tea, and it has all kinds of really beneficial. Oh my gosh, it has so many things for the immune system. It works with all different parts of the body. It's super healthy for you. Plus, it has the butterfly pea flower, which is what makes it turn blue. So if you have this, and right now this is very lukewarm, so it's not super hot. So you know, you might want to let it cool down just a little bit. But if it's just lukewarm or room temperature or even cold, you could take you know, about a quarter cup of this and add it to a larger, like a pot, right, of the of cold tea, and it'll turn it really fizzy, and so it'll make it like a really refreshing fermented drink, which has all the probiotics, which is really good for you. So that's what we're going to be doing, and we'll be adding to our ginger bug daily. Okay, so I'm going to cover this up. We're going to move on to, I just turned my pan on here. We're going to move on to the next recipe, since the little ginger bug is going to do its thing. Okay, so again, it depends on how warm. Whenever you're fermenting, the warmer it is, the faster it's going to ferment. But we're going to do this, build this up for 5 days. So you can put anything, a little cloth over it. You can put a cheesecloth. You can put a paper towel, whatever it is, to keep the dust and the bugs out. And I seem to have misplaced my elastic for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set it right there so that I don't forget. You just want to keep the dust out and the bugs out. You know, fruit flies especially, with anything to do with sugar. We're growing fruit fly city here. Actually, I don't want to put it there because I'm going to be using the blender. And as people that watch this all the time know, oh my God, my Vitamix is so old, and I've been trying to kill it for 10 years, and it's so powerful it just shoots everything out through the little nozzle. So I'm not going to put that there. Which reminds me, the other thing that you need to know when you are fermenting this, wherever you ferment it or put it, make sure it's not beside another ferment, because if you do, then it can pick up the that specific strain of yeast and bacteria of your other ferment. So, for instance, you don't want to be putting this next to your sauerkraut ferment, because it will pick up those yeast or bacteria. I'm not an expert on it. So whatever those little things are, each one for each thing, you don't want this tasting like sauerkraut, and you may not want your sauerkraut tasting like ginger. So we don't want to cross-contaminate them. So it needs to be away from everything else. And so what that, we have here we are fermenting peppers. We did the fermentation of the peppers, oh my gosh, a couple of weeks ago. So I don't want to put it near that either. So it needs to go somewhere else, but I don't want to forget about it. So I'm just going to move it right over here, and that way it's right in my line of fire. So that's what you want to do too, right? You want to have all of your ferments in a place where you're going to see them and check on them every day. So you just want to see, okay, how you doing? How's this doing? How's that doing? And taste it, see if it needs anything. So yeah, so we're going to move on to the next thing, which is really fun. It's going to be really yummy. Oh, and speaking, while I'm on ferments, I'm just going to grab the, show you how the pickles are doing. We did the pickles, or the cucumbers, I don't know, last week, I think. Or maybe it was Monday. Time flies. So just have a paper towel over there here with an elastic. And so we did the cucumbers, and we did them, this particular one has turmeric, chili peppers, garlic, and I can't remember what. You guys will have to rewatch the video and tell me what's in here. So you can see it has the bubbles on the top. Okay, so, but you can also see that these little cucumbers have they haven't really swollen, but they've kind of swollen a bit with the water, and they're sticking up out of the water. Okay, so anything sticking up out of your brine is going to mold. So this has to be pushed down. You can do it a few different ways. I can, apparently they sell little glass discs that fit right in here for fermenting to hold the food underneath the brine. Or you can, I have a little glass dish, like a little dessert dish that I think will fit in here perfectly, to just hold that down under the brine, and I'll add a little bit of the salt water to it. If you're ever going to add to your ferment, don't ever just put water into your current brine, salt brine liquid, because it has to be pre-mixed. So you have to be using a pre-mixed brine, which would be a tablespoon of salt to a quart of water. So don't just ever add water to this, because it won't work. Anyway, so this needs to be dealt with, which is good. You have to check it every day, and I can't remember exactly when we made it, but we made it several few days ago, and so it's good to take a look and see where it's at, because now that it's up, I need to deal with that right away. So this needs to go away from that and that. It's not so much worried about that, because I don't really care if these are vegetable ferments, so, or pickle. They're like a pickling ferment. They're not like a sauerkraut ferment. But anyway, they're from a similar family, which I'm not going to want the ginger bug to pick up these particular flavors. So I'm going to put this guy back here. So anyway, so that's with that. Here we are. We're going to chop up some onion. Actually, we are going to, we're going to replace this cutting board with another one. And we're going to do something exciting. I think it's exciting anyways. Okay, so I only wanted half an onion, so I kind of pre-cut this, and gonna just chop this. We're gonna blend it, so it doesn't matter how I chop it. Quite often, if you're new to watching what I do, I usually will go, I'll do it opposite. I'll usually have like a whole onion, and then what I usually do is I score it like this, and I go almost down to the root, and sometimes it's better if you keep that root I just cut off on to hold the onion together, but you score it down. So I scored it this way, and then I score it this way, and just to show you, if you're new, I find this works really well for just getting, and it would have been better if I left the root, so be careful you don't cut yourself if you're going to try this. If you're going to try this at home. Okay, and then you go like this, and see it makes the little, it makes a nice little cube super easy. Or you can just chop it. So whatever works, right? And I'm going to blend this, so I don't really care how my onion is, as long as it gets into small enough pieces for the Vitamix. Okay, so onions in. The other thing we've been doing, if you're new, is taking the onion root, and I've been putting them in the garden, and they grow little onions, and so that's super fun and a way to bring in additional food into your life for free, which is super awesome. So I will put this in the garden. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do, we need our little spoon here. So I just want to get these guys broken down a bit, because I have already, one of the things that I also share with everyone is that if you're cooking anything, try to cook 2 or 3 things at once. You know, even if you don't know what you're going to do with it, you'll find something to do with it. And if you really don't know what to do with it, or whatever you do with it doesn't turn out, then you can use it in soup. So, so while I was boiling my potatoes last night, I did extra potatoes, and while that was happening, I roasted some peppers. I'm not a expert in roasting peppers, and I don't do it very often, so I'm not very good at it. But I wanted to make a roasted red pepper soup, which is what we're doing now, and so I cut them up into strips, and what I didn't realize was that tends to make the edges burn more, and you don't really want to eat anything burnt. It's not good. So having said that, there are so many things that we do that is not good in our lives that, you know, if you get a little bit of burnt food and you're eating really, really healthy, otherwise your body will be able to fight that off and reverse it. So I'm not going to stress about this too much, that they got a little overdone, but I wish I had done this. I did throw this one in, the whole pepper, and it cooked way nicer. So like I said, I'm not an expert. Probably everybody in the world knows that this is the better way to do it. But I love to experiment with new recipes and new foods, and so I am a certified herbalist. I'm a natural health consultant. I do a lot of things with nutrition and foods, but I am not a professional cook. So that's why I don't know how to cook. Roast a pepper properly. So anyway, okay, so I'm just going to take this out. I've left the seeds in because I don't have any issue with the inflammatory, that it being a nightshade and having inflammatory properties, because, or lectins too, because they also have lectins. Because if, in my experience working with clients and people, that if you have a sensitivity to nightshades and you have a sensitivity to lectins, and you have an inflammatory response, especially when it comes to foods, then you can't avoid those foods, and that's fine and helpful for sure if you're in an inflammatory response period of time, at the time. But ideally what you want to do is you want to I'm just looking at the comments. What? Yeah, but if what you need to do is you need to actually heal the digestive system, heal the gut, heal what's going on and what's causing the inflammation. Because the inflammation, if you're inflaming that easily, it's like it's been going on for a while, and you will have inflammatory tissue, inflamed tissue. You know, everything's super reactive. So my point is, don't just stop eating the things that create the inflammation, although you need to do that at the time. But look at how to heal your digestive system and that inflammatory response, because you can heal that. And it's there are lots of different protocols and herbs and different things, foods that will help to heal that, so that you don't inflame and so that you're not reactive. And you don't have to go back to eating this stuff, but if you wanted to, you would be able to without having that inflammatory response and all of those health issues from it. So my point is, don't just stop eating the things and then doing nothing else to change your health or to improve your health. You need to look at the root cause of why this happened, and you know, if that's happened, then there's a whole cascade of the whole rest of the body dealing with whatever your issue is. And we all have, I'm sorry, speaking for myself, most people I know have health issues, and so we have a genetic predisposition to something that is, you know, a potential for a weakness or a health condition. And so if we find out what that is, we can work towards healing it. And if we work with the weak spot, then the healthier spots get healthier, and then they will help to heal the weaker area, if that makes sense. I have a whole other lecture on all that stuff, but anyways, yeah, so, okay, back to the cooking. I got all into, it's my passion, so I get really, I can get very carried away and talk for hours and hours and hours on that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to, I'm just waiting for these guys to cook down a bit. So our potatoes are cooked, our peppers are cooked, and I'm going to add one of these cute little, these are the veggie broth cubes from Healthy Habits. So they are plant-based, just vegetables, concentrated vegetables in there, gluten-free, vegan, all that good stuff, non-GMO. And so you can buy those at Healthy Habits. So I'm just going to add that in for the flavoring for this for right now while the onions come down. And we will, okay, let's see. I don't want it too creamy because, you know, I mean, I don't do dairy anyways, but because I have an underlying potential lung thing going on, and if you have any kind of lung or bronchial issues, dairy is the worst thing to get you going, right? Creates mucus. Anyways, okay, so what we're gonna do, I think I will start with adding a little bit of water to the Vitamix while we're waiting for that to cook down, and we will, my poor Vitamix is so old. And apparently, I looked into replacing a canister, and apparently the replacement canisters are not nearly as strong as this, like, 15-year-old one. So it has the battle scars of what I've put it through, but it still works really good. Okay, I'm just going to add a little bit of water just to moisten the blades for right now. And I'll set this right here. So when you are using any kind of blender, whatever, it's always helpful to put the more liquid things on the blade first so that it can get going, and then the heavier things after. So I'm just going to dump these peppers in, okay? So what do you think that is? 1.5 cups, maybe 2 cups of peppers. I'm not much of a measurer, so, which reminds me, I need to put the last couple recipes on YouTube because I'm a little behind. Okay, so I'm not going to put all these potatoes in. As I said, it's really helpful if you're cooking, make lots. And then you can use some for a little of this and some for a little of that. And so I'm just going to use probably, you know, a cup, like an equal amount-ish. Just, you know, mostly this is a thickener. I know, it has two nightshades, but it's okay. I don't have a problem with that because I'm really careful to take care of my intestinal system and digestive system so that I can do all these bad things. Okay, so it's starting to stick. So, anything cooked doesn't have enzymes, so it's always good to eat your raw foods as much as possible for your enzymes. Okay, so I'm just going to add this in. I've got the cold, or it's not really cold water, but room temperature water in there so that I'm not putting super hot in the Vitamix. Although the Vitamix can handle, this particular one can handle quite a bit of heat. But anyways, I don't want you guys putting super hot liquid in your blender and having it crack or whatever if you don't have a super duper Vitamix like this. Okay, I need to turn that off, and it's going to still be hot, so I'm going to add a little bit of water just so I don't scorch while that thing cools down. Okay, we don't need this. Oh, maybe we do need this. I don't know. I have such a tiny little workspace. Oh, hi. Oh, we've got extra people on here. Okay, awesome. So what we're going to do is we're going to blend this up, and then we'll add the rest of the seasonings. Okay, so lid for the Vitamix. Oh, there we go. Can't see it for looking. Okay, so hang on here. We're just going to blend away, and so close your ears. Okay, so, I don't mind if it's a little bit chunky, because it's fine. It's soup. And so you could blend it more if you wanted to, but see, this is quite thick. You can see how thick that is. And so it was exactly the right amount of peppers and potatoes. And so that's a miracle because we're not very good at measuring around here. Okay, so where's my thing? My little thing. I bring all kinds of tools out just in case I decide to do something different and add for plan B, which we do a lot. And sometimes I just don't choose the right tools because I'm not a professional cook, and I often figure that out by trial and error. A lot. Okay, so that looks awesome. Okay, so we're going to put this back here. The other thing with your blender, your Vitamix, or whatever, I'm not going to do it right now, but I will tell you that it saves you so much time. Always soak your blender as soon as, like right now, I would be running to the sink and fill that thing up because it makes the cleaning so much easier, and then your, it doesn't stick in it. It's just way better to always wash your blenders out, or your Vitamix or whatever, as soon as you're finished using them, if you can, and I will do that in a couple minutes. So we have the beautiful, you can see the little seeds here, and I know a lot of people wouldn't like that, and that's okay. If you want, before you roast your peppers, you can take the little ribs out and take the seeds out, and that will, that would be the thing to do if you want to do that. Okay, I'm just adding a little more water and putting this back on a bit more. So what I'm going to add for seasoning is this is actually a granulated garlic. I always get confused. No, it's not. It's a minced garlic. This is a minced garlic, and this is a granulated garlic. This is like it's not a powder, it's just granulated. So I always get confused as to the words, like I know how I like them. So this is, it's fine like a powder, but it's not a powder, it's an actual granulated garlic. So I'm going to add, that's quite a bit, although I love garlic, but I'm going to add 2 different kinds of garlic. So the secret ingredient's going to come pretty quick. I'm just going to add a little bit because we have another secret ingredient. Okay, so that's like half a teaspoon, just to bring out the flavor, because I do find that the each way that the garlic has been processed adds a different flavor. So I'm going to add, same thing, like a level teaspoon of the minced garlic, and then I'm going to add this like super awesome ingredient, and Okay, so this is like super amazing. I just got this yesterday, and it's a lady here in Port Alberni, and she smokes garlic, like it's smoked garlic. So I thought that would be the perfect thing to add to the roasted red pepper soup. So it comes in a pack like this. Her name is Joanne. Whoops. Her name is Joanne Callender, and her farm is called One Tree Farm. And if you want to get her information from me, you can just message me and I'll be happy to pass that along. Pretty sure you can find it on Facebook, Joanne, like it sounds, and Calendar, at One Tree Farm. And this is so amazing smoked. I'm not really too much of a fan of smoked things very often, but this is pretty cool. It's really, really neat. And in a case like this, it's also very strong. So one of these cloves is all you need. And so we're going to chop that up, and that's going to, I didn't want to cook it any further. I want to just put it in, like we're going to cut it really fine and just put it in so that it's like a minced garlic. And it's so funny because the way it's, oh, there we go. I couldn't even tell, because this gets so transparent, I couldn't even tell that the little peel was still on. So if you smash it down, it doesn't smash very good. I've never worked with this before, but it's pretty firm. Kind of has the consistency of a pickled onion. So I'm going to put this in, and then I'm going to mash it with my knife. And you could, what I could have done too is put this in with the Vitamix and blend it, but I really want to, I want to get to know these little garlics and get to work with them more, because I haven't worked with them before, so I didn't want it to just disappear in the blender. Although that would be probably, once I get to know these guys, that's probably what would have been a good idea. But I just want these little chunks because I think it's going to be super awesome to work with. Yeah, that's really cool. I think that is super cool. And of course, we're just going to get them in there. So that is one. And then taste it too, right? So get all those little precious pieces in. Okay. I've been told I clang my tools too much. Okay, so I'm going to bring this up a bit. And, oh my God, it just smells so amazing. Okay, so that's a secret recipe. The other thing I'm going to add a little bit of tarragon to it. And, yeah, if you react to lectins, then there's a whole protocol to really heal that, the digestive system, the membrane, the intestinal system and everything. And it's not as hard as you think. Like, it's really, really, yeah, you can do that so that you're not so reactive in case you are somewhere and there's something in there that you would react to. Why not heal that area of your body so that you don't react, or at least not react as much, because it's pretty uncomfortable. Okay, so I'd say that's like a teaspoon of the tarragon, and and I am going to add the tiniest bit of smoked paprika, just one shake. I don't want to destroy the getting the smoked garlic flavor. And then there's a sweet paprika too as well. So I'm going to add a little bit of that. Okay, so that's like a level teaspoon. Okay, so the other things that that I would consider adding, and I always go as we go. We just keep adding things, whatever it is that we think. So the things that I would add here is nutritional yeast, and of course the nutritional yeast has so many health benefits. It's got all the B vitamins. It's got potassium, calcium. It's like so super healthy for you, and it adds that cheesy flavor, right? So if you're not doing dairy, it'll add a beautiful cheesy flavor. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of that, and And then you can taste it and add more because it's just really, truly amazing tasting. And the only other thing, I have a teensy bit of, because I'm not really sure with the peppers, just like tomatoes, right? I'm not sure if I'm going to add just a teensy bit of coconut sugar, but you could. And or you can add a teensy bit of maple syrup. Sometimes that just really brings the flavor out in the soup. And I'm going to add a little bit of the almond milk, or you could add a coconut milk or whatever, just to kind of bring that richness in. So cook to taste, cook to whatever it is that turns you on, and you know, and just explore. The other thing I am going to add here, so this will help with the anti-inflammatory properties. So that's the other thing. I like to work with doing things that reverse the things that you want to do that you shouldn't do. So we're going to add a little bit of turmeric, which has all the inflammatory properties. It has the curcumin in it. And so if we're adding the anti-inflammatory to the inflammatory, with any luck, it'll balance out. I'm not so sure if it actually would. Hey, Carolina, hi. Good morning. It's noon. So we're going to add the turmeric can be a little bit bitter in food. So you don't want to add too much to ruin the flavor, but I would add, this is like less than a level teaspoon. And yeah, so the turmeric is anti-inflammatory because of the curcumin and all the amazing things that turmeric does. Everybody already knows everything turmeric does. And whenever you add your turmeric, you always want to add black pepper because it activates the turmeric. Okay, so we'll add some of the black pepper. And yeah, so that is looking really good. It's looking quite thick. Okay, so I'm going to taste it and then decide if it should have more water or milk or just a teensy bit of coconut sugar. Oh, wow. Oh, that's so good. I think it needs both. It needs water and I think it needs all. It needs all three. It needs a little bit of water because it tastes awesome, but as a soup, that would be pretty heavy. So I'm just going to water it down a little bit. And I'm going to add a little bit of this just to smooth the pepper flavor out because it does taste quite roasted red peppery. And that's fine too. And I am going to try and get to my little bit of coconut sugar here. I have a little bit of coconut sugar. Find a clean spoon. And I'm just going to add a level teaspoon. Well, a heaping level teaspoon of the coconut sugar. Just to smooth it out a bit. Okay. So, oh, I know. The secret ingredient that I always put into most things that I can't seem to find right now. Where is it? Anyway, it's cayenne pepper, just to bring the spice out. Where did my cayenne pepper go? Okay, I'm going to add that after. I won't go running around the kitchen because we're running way over time here. And the other thing that that we'd add, which I can't find either. We did so much canning. Excuse me. Whoops. We did pickled beets. We've done fermenting. We've done everything. So my stuff is kind of like spread all over the kitchen. I'm going to add just a teensy bit of Himalayan sea salt as well. Like if I was to, if I went and found my shaker, I'm going to add a little bit more salt. So yeah, so just cook to taste to cook, and try and have things that are healthy. This isn't the healthiest combination for sure. It's a little exotic and a little rich, like some of the things that we do that we maybe shouldn't do, but it's super tasty. And I had bought a whole bunch of red peppers on sale. They had them marked down, and so I got like, I don't know, 10 pounds of red peppers. So I'm going to I'm going to dehydrate them, because I think that we should really be paying attention to storing and preparing food for this winter, because we're not sure exactly what's going to happen. Okay, I'll get another clean spoon. And, okay, so that's perfect. Perfect amount. Because when you think about drinking a whole bowl full, you don't want it to be too rich. You want it to be just right. Okay, well, thanks for joining in. Hi, Ritu. You'll have to rewatch it. We're just finishing up. What we did today was I'll just show you here quickly. We made a ginger bug. So we did grated ginger and 1 tablespoon of organic sugar and some water, and we're going to let this ferment with the coffee filter I just pulled off, and we're going to add to this every day, and that'll make a fizzy fermentation liquid to add to any of your other beverages. We're going to talk about that more tomorrow because we'll be working with it every day. So anyways, and then a roasted red pepper soup. Okay, so thanks for coming and hanging out, you guys. You can rewatch the video and check out my YouTube channel, share and subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow morning at 11. Okay, bye-bye.